Oh yeah, Travis Hunter. Some say the number one player in the country. Some say the number two high school recruit in the country. He said, if you, FSU, JU, I'm yours. And I'm not mad at him at all. I'm not mad at him one bit because he did what he wanted to do. He got a lucrative NIL deal, too. Let's not get twisted. It's reported he's getting 1.5 million for an NIL deal, so he's already rich. So if he don't make the league, he's already rich. But it seems like there's a group of people who are hot and bothered about what Mr. Hunter chose to do. For one, I'd say, hey, it's his life, not yours. Get the hell over it. He can do whatever he wants. And if you don't like his life decisions, I'll tell you, you make the best life decisions for you and yourself and your life that nobody actually talks about or really cares about outside of your immediate family. And I mean I shouldn't even say immediate family, your parents and your significant other. No one else cares. And you make better decisions if you think his decision was bad, okay? But if you can look at it and say, hey, man, that young man made a decision. He decided to be a trailblazer, to be the highest rated HBCU player in history to commit to an HBCU, sign with an HBCU, man, let him be that. Let him say that, hey, I want to go play for Coach Prime. I want to go play for Deion Sanders. I want to be the best cornerback who's ever played the game. And who can teach me better than the best cornerback to ever play the game? And not only can he teach me how to play the game on the field, he can teach me how to play the game off the field. Why? Because he played it. He made mistakes. He did some good stuff, but he also made mistakes. Guess what? He brought Brittany Renner in. Apparently, Mr. Hunter was there the weekend. Brittany Renner came and spoke to the team. And maybe that conversation, or not even the conversation that Brittany Renner had with them, is the fact that he could get somebody like that, a social media influencer, a baddie, somebody, man, look at PJ. Let me stop. But I ain't knocking PJ Washington for fighting without gloves. You know what I'm saying? Bare fist fight. I'm not mad at him. And, sometimes you fight bare fist, you bust your knuckles, and your blood gets on them. But maybe because Coach Prime can do that, because Deion Sanders can do that, maybe that appealed to that young man. He was like, oh, shit, man. He really going to put me on game. Mike Norvell can't put him on game. I've not looked at the FSU coaching staff, but I highly doubt that they have a coach on their staff that can put a young man on game like Prime can put a young man on game. Because why? Prime was that guy. He was well prepared, a stud athlete, and a celebrity. He is a celebrity. I mean, I'm calling him Coach Prime. Why? Because his nickname was Prime Time. Why? Because everybody's watching. You want your show, you want to play at prime time because that means everybody's watching. That's what we call this man. But y'all mad. I don't even know who more mad. I don't know if it's the Florida State fans. I don't know if it's the old guard of the NCAA, like your Dabo Sweeney's. Dabo getting some business today, though. Pause. Or is it just people on the internet, man? I saw an interesting post by somebody I know yesterday who was kind of speaking to this, and I tapped the comments. I did, and I'm not even talking about this on the pod to try to create any type of stir, any type of none of that stuff. But I thought it was an interesting. Excuse me. I thought it was a perspective that gave me ammunition to have this conversation on the podcast. Okay, I'm not gonna call it totally interesting, right? So Jackson State gets boat raced by South Carolina State. Jackson State was 11-1, 12-1, and South Carolina State was 7-5. And pretty much the point of the post was like, "This is where you really want to go?" Like they just got dog walked by a not so good team, and you could go to a blue chip program and play against the best competition that the team you're going to is not going to be playing against. Are you sure that this is what you want to do? Because based on statistics, right? The organization that you turned down and the other organizations that you turned down, the other schools that you turned down, have a better track record of creating professional athletes. Yes, they do because they've been doing it for a lot longer. They're operating at a higher level. They have more resources. Um, that's the surface answer, right? But this is not a surface discussion. It's nuanced. It's super nuanced, right? Because it's easy, it's convenient to call out Jackson State after getting dog walked by South Carolina State. Guess what? Tom Brady just got shut out yesterday for the first time at home in his entire career. He got shut out yesterday for the first time since 2006 when he played against Nick Saban, okay? Teams have bad games. Good players have bad games. It's part of playing sports. That's why we play the game. That's why the gambling lines, the gambling projections, the simulations, you know what I mean? A mad simulation is not the season because you have to play the game on the field. Now, he's not going to be playing against top end competition, but he's going to be developed in a way that's different. He's going to be mentored in a way that's different. And honestly, when you're good, you're good. If you can, if you're good, you can dominate bums. You can dominate studs. That's what it means to be good. Because when you're great, when you're the best of the best, the cream rises to the top. But the competition, I mean, the other team is not your competition. Your competition is yourself. So when you're competing against yourself, right? And you're competing to be the best you that you can be, it don't matter who lines up across from you because you're going to execute to your standard in order to appeal to yourself. But so often as a society, we get so caught up with keeping up with the Joneses, right? We get so caught up with competing with other people that we forget to compete with ourselves. And if you're competing with other people, no matter how great they are, no matter how much better than you they are, you will always sell yourself short. Because once you pass them, you go, oh, I've made it. But where's your ceiling? You know what I mean? Where could you actually be? You might just be on the second or third floor of the house. And y'all got an attic up there that you didn't even know the attic was up there. You didn't even pull it down, creep up in there to see. Why? Because you're worried about what's happening next to you. You're worried about what's happening next door. You're worried about what's happening across the street, across the country, across the world. That you didn't just take the time to look at yourself and set your own standard. Because if you are in competition with everybody else all the time, I probably say, man, look here. It's always gonna be somebody that's better than you. You're always gonna be bitter. You're always gonna be upset. You know, there's nothing wrong with keeping score. Looking next door to see how things are going. But understand, ultimately, the competition is internal, man. The best of the best, the elite of the elite, they compete with themselves. Like when I come in here and I record, I'm gonna personalize. When I come in here and record this podcast, I'm competing with myself. Are there people out here who are taking up market share that I would love? Absolutely, yeah. That goes without saying. Do I want some of that market share? Absolutely. But do I see them as competition? Not really. Do I see them as people who may be stealing, 30 minutes, an hour of somebody else's time from me? I mean, just a little bit. But when it comes to the skill of talking, the skill of entertaining, the skill of making an argument, the ability to tell a story or conduct an interview, I'm not competing with anybody but myself. And when I finish a podcast, when I'm done, I go back and I listen to it. I make my chops. I make my IG vids and all of that stuff. And if I get through it, I go, dang, we ain't got much eye candy this time. I'm not thinking about what so-and-so podcast put out. I'm not thinking about what so-and-so radio show put out. I ain't thinking about what so-and-so blog is doing. I'm like, dang, bro, I'm better than this. And I didn't show it today. So next week when we get back here, we got to pipe up because it's me versus me. That's the competition. There ain't no competition when you're competing against yourself because it's being internally focused. But too many of us are externally focused, like, oh, well, Travis Hunter is playing against a bunch of bumps. It don't matter if Travis Hunter is dominating. It don't matter if Travis Hunter is working on the skills that it takes to be a great cornerback, right? You can line up OBJ or JBO. If he's nice, he's nice. Think about how many people have came from places where the odds were stacked against them. Think athletically. I mean, Jerry Rice, HBCU. Shannon Sharp, HBCU. Tall Jones, HBCU. AB, smaller mid-major college. Greg Jennings, smaller mid-major college. Aaron Rodgers went JUCO before he went to Cal. Yeah. There are diamonds in the rough. When you're good, and they find you. I know people who went to great colleges who have great jobs. I know people who went to some pretty good colleges, got some pretty bad jobs. I know some people who went to terrible colleges and have great jobs. Why? Because good is good is good is good is good. And the cream will rise to the top. If you're good, you're good. Now, is it harder to be good when you put your back against the wall? Sure. But this young man has so much publicity already. He's going to have so many eyes on him. The way Coach Prime is working on getting more nationally televised games for Jackson State, the relationship he has with Under Armour, the relationship he has with Tom Brady, oh yeah, who just sponsored his son. It's not the same HBU experience that a random good football player who chooses Fort Valley over University of Georgia is going to have. It's not, because we're talking about Coach Prime. It's prime time in Jackson State. But on a bigger picture, what Mr. Hunter is doing is he's laying the groundwork for the revival of the HBCU. And what I mean by the revival of the HBCU, making it cool for everybody to go to HBCUs. You know, I went to HBCU, Morehouse College, got it on my chest. I loved it. Great experience. I got praise for going to HBCU. Yeah, the same type of schools that Travis Hunter turned down for football, the football factories. Some of those schools might be considered success factories. I got accepted to them, and I said, nah, I'm good. I'm going here with my people. What's the difference? Because I'm not high profile. I'm not a 5-star athlete. I'm a 5-star high school student. You know what I mean? And I chose to go where I went. Why? Because that's where I wanted to be. And I thought that was best for me. But back to Mr. Hunter, not about myself. I'm not going to be a narcissist today. But he's trailblazing, right? And what he's doing is he's gonna make it comfortable for other athletes who thought about going to an HBCU, whether it's their geographic location to the HBCU, whether it's their family ties to the HBCU, whether they go, bruh, I prefer that experience. I want to be around people who are like me, who think like me, but I also want to be able to set myself up to go to the league. Travis is making it easier for those players to make that decision. Now, don't go to just any program. Make sure you're going to a good program. Look at what my guy Hugh Jackson did down in Grambling. He got a top quarterback out of the transfer portal. Why? Because Hugh Jackson is overqualified to be coaching at Grambling. He's coached at 2 NFL teams. You understand what I'm saying? The Deion Sanders is overqualified to be coaching at Jackson State, but he's choosing to coach there. Why? Because it's bigger than him. He was coaching there because it's bigger than him. Eddie George has never coached before. This was his first season, but what did he do? He went down to Tennessee State because it's bigger than him. Who did he have on his staff? He had Jeff Fisher on his staff. He had Jeff Fisher's son on the staff. He had a type of staff that you don't normally see at your typical HBCUs. Why? Because he could do it. He had those people in his corner. And when you have those type of coaches, when you have that type of profile, you can bring in better players. And when you bring in those better players, you can get more players going to the league. And once you get more players going to the league, others will come. Alabama's always been a storied program, but Alabama was not a football factory, an NFL factory until Coach Saban got there. Why did an NFL factory? Because Coach Saban got there. Because Coach Saban made that happen. And for those of you who don't think that Deion, Coach Prime, Hugh Jackson, or Eddie George could make the same things happen at their program, I ask you why not? I ask you why. Why can't they do it? They got some money in their pocket. They got some resources. They got some phone numbers. They know the right agents. They got some. Relationships with owners, GMs. Probably not scouts anymore because of where they are, but you know what I mean? They have the network, but they also have the perspective of someone who's actually lived that life, who's coached that life to inspire those young men to do something that's bigger than them and still achieve their goals. They can do that. And if you have an issue with that and you look like me, you have an issue with yourself. And you need to work on that. Oh, but let's get to my favorite topic of the day. Let's get to the guy. Let's get to Herb. Herb. The herb. The herb. The herb. Hold on, we're not gonna get to Herb yet. Let me talk about Dabo Swinney real quick. So Dabo Swinney decided to come out and pretty much say that these kids are being manipulated with the money, and they're and all these third parties out here trying to influence where they're going to school. Hey Dabo, shut up. You're just a control freak. Guess and Jimbo Fisher, God bless Jimbo Fisher, came on Paul Feinbaum's show, and he said the difference between NIL and times before is everybody knows we're giving out the money. Jimbo said what everybody already thought. The money's been flying around. Now they got to pay taxes on it. It's wired instead of putting a duffel bag. You know what I mean? It's wired instead of putting an old brown paper bag. But see, that's the problem. Because now that everybody can openly spend money, there's people who's spending money and taking Dabo's boys. That boy. Taking that boy's boys. Yeah. Dabo to taking your boys. And Dabo had a down year. And Dabo, he's hurting. Talking about we need to add the 1 year back to the transfer. Dabo said he stopped coaching, if I remember correctly. If we start paying the players. Hold on, what? You don't want your players to make money? You don't want your players to be able to control their destiny? You don't want a player to say, "Oh my God, I got this coach sold me all this bullshit. Told me I was going to start. Told me I was going to get my number, and then I get here and I don't get my number. I'm fourth on the depth chart, and I would have went to this other school where I could have started, but you told me you was going to let me that I would be starting here." So it's okay if Dabo is the manipulator. But if anybody else is getting into Dabo's way of doing it, is wrong. That's what I mean. That's why I told y'all to divorce Dabo a long time ago. I'm not saying he's a bad football coach. I'm just saying it's not a man I look up to. Despite his success, I wouldn't want to send my son to that. I'd want somebody who would want my son to want to be there and not feel like they had to be there because what you can offer. Like, I want them to want to come play for you, want to learn how to become a man from you, a better man from you. Like, I'm gonna teach my son how to be a man, but there are lessons that obviously can be learned from outside the household. That's why I got this hat on. It's y'all can't really see it 'cause I ain't close to the camera, but it says still N word, yeah, because that's how they see us. Travis Hunter, he's still a nigga. I mean, what somebody burned Dion's Florida. I saw somebody burn Dion's Florida State jersey because he took a recruit from Florida State. Stop it. Stop it. You got some nerve. You feel so entitled. You fans and some of these coaches, y'all feel so entitled to your way of living. Y'all feel so entitled to this control that you don't even care about the other stuff. Like, so what if this player's not coming to the school that you probably didn't go to, that you put little money into? You're just a fan of, oh yeah, go Dog Circle. Oh yeah, go Nose. Oh yeah, go Roll Tide. Yeah. Bruh. Okay. Somebody didn't want to go there. Just like you didn't want to go there. It's okay. It's their life. They get to control their life. Like, y'all look at sports as entertainment, and it is entertainment for the viewer. But for those involved, it's a lifestyle. And you over here going crazy over somebody's lifestyle because you don't like their lifestyle choices, when who cares what you like? They live in it. It's just it's entertainment for you. Now, just imagine somebody just going to your job and watching you go to work every day, and every time you fuck up, they got a comment about it. They're gonna go tweet about it. They're gonna go to Facebook about it. They're gonna make a meme about it. They're gonna laugh at you. They're gonna talk about you. They're gonna hit you up and say, "Dang, man, saw your boss chewed you out today. What happened? Dang, man, I see you messed up that report today. Good job." But y'all think it's okay to come after these kids for making decisions that you don't like.